Something's fishy.
Hey guys, I'm Shark Zone, and in today's video, I'll be giving you guys an ultimate beginner's guide to League of Legends and tutorial in 2020 or 2021. I'll try my best to explain the game as simple as possible to the core, and this video is designed for people who have zero experience and literally just started downloading the game. The goal for this video is for you to have an easy and simple time learning the game, and I'll make sure to timestamp everything below so that way if you're struggling on a certain issue, you could just skip to that part. These beginner guide to League of Legends videos usually get the most views on my channel and take me over 30 hours to make, so it would be hugely appreciative if you could smash that like, comment below any questions you may have because I respond to every single one of them, and hit that subscribe button below to see more informative videos like this. Alright, so now to get into the tutorial, what would happen is when you first load up League of Legends, you have to choose your name, and basically you could type whatever you want, that's your name, and then this screen will pop up. Always pick Summoner's Rift because this is like League of Legends main game, and this is more like a side mini game you can tweak with further down the road if you want. But the cinematic show, okay, let's ignore all that. Let's start the tutorial where the first challenge is to try out a few champs and destroy the enemy's tower. Alright, so you should see something like this. And really quickly, I just have to adjust the settings a little bit. I'll go more in detail later. But this right here, press escape, you'll open up the sound taskbar. You'll open up all the settings you have to basically control whether that's sound, whether that's the sensitivity in the game. Adjust that to your liking, and I will definitely go into more specifics on this later. But this tutorial right here doesn't necessarily show you how the game breaks down, but it'll just get you used to how things flow. And really quickly, I want to say you want to have 3 fingers on your QWE. Alternate that between your R, D, and F. So it's QWE for your 3 fingers right there. You can experiment clicking with your mouse, and they even give notes on what to do, like right clicking to actually attack some of these minions, kill them, toss out your Q abilities like so. And right now we have Smart Cast on, which basically means that if you hold onto your sensor, if you hold onto your ability, it'll show where it's likely to land. So I honestly say have this for beginners. Like right now, all we're doing is just clearing the bots basically. And yeah, honestly, this is the free realm where you could just experiment your buttons, click it. Ghost gives you movement speed. Heal just heals you for some heal points. Your ultimate ability is your most important ability on a long cooldown. And your QWE is different for every champion. All your abilities are different for every champion. You want to find one you like. I highly recommend you play every single champ here to experiment with what you exactly like. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll actually get to choose one of these champions. So just find a champion you think is fun to play and experiment with your abilities. You're not going to deal this much damage. You're kind of over buffed because this is for new players, just to get the hang of things and understand how the flows go. Your goal is just to clear this game mode. So take the towers, kill the Nexus, and then win the game. They also give you notes like this, but right now I'm just going to speedrun this because it's kind of self-explanatory. There's only one lane to go to. Just complete the game mode and then go on to the next. Alright, so they give you notes on exactly what to do. Like if you're getting hit by a tower, they'll tell you to back away from the tower. The only reason why you should be under tower is if minions are tanking it, by the way. If you just go straight under a tower, you're going to see this ring for now. The tower will focus you and then kill you in like 3 shots. So be careful about going under towers when you don't have minions. Alright, so this game mode right here, for the average new player, don't stress about it. It's taking me around 6 minutes to do. In reality, it should take you around 15 minutes because you're trying to get the hang of things, and just don't stress out. This game is you're playing with all bots, and the only goal here is just for you to kind of get the basics of how to control your champion and just play with some of their abilities. So yeah, we win the first mini game here, the first part of the tutorial. When you kill the Nexus, this is like the brain of the game. You win the game or you lose the game. Alright, so right after we finish the first game, this shows up. Unlock a champion. The champions you had options to choose from before, you get to choose. Now, personally, every champion here is lane specific, so Lux is more of a support. slash mid laner. Master Yi is strictly a jungler. Misfortune's an ADC. Darius is a top laner. Ahri is a mid laner. I will go more in detail on why they go into these exact lanes. But just think, do you like mages? Do you like long range poke abilities? Choose the mage. If you like being a bruiser in the middle of fights, dealing damage at the same time being semi-tanky, choose the Darius top lane. If you like being the most heavy damage dealer on the team, like an ADC, long range poke, and just a lot of damage in general, pick the Misfortune. If you like clearing jungles and then being more on the what we call macro side, where you like clearing camps and then helping your team with what we call ganks, which is basically just aiding your team in lane to try to give them kills, towers, and assists, so forth, pick the Master Yi for jungle. Or if you like being the support for the team and just, you know, providing CC, which is crowd control, which means slows, stuns, and shields, pick the Lux, and you also deal good amounts of damage. There are easier supports to play, but Lux is the only one they give you. For now, I'm just gonna choose Darius. Also, you get to choose, you get to explore their abilities. If you click view abilities, you get to see the champion's difficulties. I would not really say that these are 100% accurate, but they're like generally accurate. I would honestly say 1 for difficulty, maybe 2 because Garen's easier. But you get to check out their abilities. You get to check out champions' abilities like Ahri's Q, Ahri's W, Ahri's E charm, Ahri's dashes. Just choose whichever one you like. And for this video, I'm gonna choose Ahri because I can actually play with her difficult skill shots, but I highly recommend you stay away from Ahri. There are gonna be easier mid laners to play, but Ahri is generally hard to play. Focus on the ones that have 1-star difficulty and maybe Darius. But yeah, just these 4 are best. On to the next game called Power Up. Level up your champion to deal more damage. All right, so this right here is the second tutorial level, I want to say. It's basically where now you're playing on the Summoner's Rift. This is the map right here. You're gonna automatically play as the champion Misfortune. Now you have the ability to level up abilities and so on. You could either click on the arrow to level up that ability or press Control and then press the letter. Basic buttons. Press P to open up the shop. This is what they have. You could either open up the all options. I honestly just stick to the recommendeds for now because they just tell you which one's best. Get this, a health potion, or you could click on this guy with the left click. It'll open up the shop there, and you can only buy items at base. Like right now I'm clicking P, I can't buy any items. Press the B button. It's a recall, and by the end of this channel you can do it anywhere on the map. It's gonna recall you back to base, and then now you can buy items. But this is how much gold you have. It's on the bottom where my cursor is pointing right here. Just follow the arrows. It gives you notes. This is basically intermediate bots. They give you notes on what to do and the most efficient path to lane and so forth. And they give you basic task missions to do, like earn experience and levels. This one and the next tutorial level it's the same thing. So you're basically going to be doing this twice on 2 different champions. This tutorial, second level is Misfortune. The next one is Ahri, more of a mage. But honestly, it's kind of self-explanatory. You're going to play the game as it is. You're going to have more level up power-ups than the bots you're going to be playing against. Just try your best to test out or just experiment with the buttons and so forth, because this is the ground to do so. It's tutorials. 5 bots against 5 bots. You can't even open chat. So yeah, you have nothing to worry about. I want to just get to the gist of things and explain things what I need to explain. You're just taking towers. These right there, for the first 17 minutes or 15 minutes of the game, you're going to have tower platings. And basically, if you destroy every single one, it's going to give everyone around you gold, or you solo gold. And you want to hit the tower when the minions are under tower, so that way you're not tanking tower damage. I'll show you. And if you attack the enemy under tower, the tower will then focus you. And then yeah, it's just you want to have the minions under tower to attack the tower itself, so that way it won't focus you. And how you do that is usually by killing the enemy once. But these are bots, so like it shows green, and this is right here is the radius where the tower can attack you if you stand outside no matter what. it cannot attack you, and you don't want to be standing in front of the minions. You want to be standing behind your own, because look, now the minions are starting to attack me. This is just like the basics of the basics. So hopefully, I hope I could stop you from dying. See, he attacked the enemy. Now he's getting focused by the tower. Now I'm getting focused by the tower because I attacked the enemy under tower. So I hope I explained it well enough, but you just want to stand behind your minions. So that way the red minions, the enemy minions won't focus you. And you have some sort of peel away from the tower, like protection. The tower won't focus you unless you auto attack or damage the enemy under their tower. After you finish the second game, you'll level up to level 3 and you'll get some blue essence. You'll have the ability to play blind pick, which is a 5v5 against real people, and a 5v5 ARAM, which is one lane, and it's more for fun. If you just want to have a 5v5, one lane, both teams fight like 24/7. It's more quick paced, I want to say. And now it's on to our third game. All right, so yeah, basically the tutorial number I think is number 3. It's basically the same thing, except you're playing a different champion and they give you like different quests to do. You don't even have to do it, just literally end the game. And yeah, try to look at their pointers they give, like press P for shop, press B to back, and don't take damage from towers. That's basically the tutorial. It gives you semi foundation, but it's just for you to get comfortable clicking your mouse around and using your abilities. Oh no. So basically when the tutorial ends, the box will explode and you get 3000 raw blue essence, which, yes, I'll go back to the tutorial. As you could see, we just finished it. We did everything. Thank you guys for making it this far. Congratulations. So press this first off, and every time you play a game a day, you'll get to choose from one of these champions. And if you level up, you get these rewards like exhaust and barrier the next time you level up to 4, and so on. But yes, you go to loot. Just a quick summary, that this right here is going to be where you get your champion shards and how you're actually going to get your blue essence. That way you can go into the store and purchase blue essence. Quick rundown, or just basically what you should do: press this and then this. Blue essence is your in-game currency, and then sort it from lowest to highest, so that way you have a good selection to choose from. These are all for beginners besides the Singed and Rise. Do not pick these 2 champions. Anyone else is great. You could I'm gonna go over this more in depth in the video, but choose one of these champions. Each one is lane specific and they have a certain class. You can organize the class by right here. Let's say you want mages. Boom, right there. These are all mages, technically. But you can also say you want a mage support. That's the Soraka pick. That's the Janna pick. That's the Morgana. Let's say you want a tank. Tank is right there. All these are tank, but you want a tank fighter. Boom, right there. Garen's right there. So yeah, just pick and choose, and then press their champion, learn more, and then look over the overview to see their difficulty and abilities, to see what they exactly do on the rift, so that way you can experiment with them. But you probably already chose a champion from the start during the tutorial, so you can just play that champion. But I'm just gonna choose a little bit of who I'd say I recommend. I'd pick the Annie for mid lane. I'd pick Annie for mid lane, Ashe for ADC, Dr. Mundo for top lane, Amumu for the jungle, Garen for the top lane, Kayle for the top and mid lane, Master Yi for the jungle, Nunu for the jungle, Poppy for the top lane / jungle, skip these 2 champions, Sivir for the ADC role, attack damage carry, Soraka for the support role, support / mage type thing, and so forth. So just a little basic of what you should be thinking about doing when you get the blue essence. All right, so now talking about the type of champions to buy and actually how to get them in the first place. So if you're at your home screen, you're gonna have icons right here. Press on loot. Loot is how you're going to be able to unlock champions. Every time you level up, you're going to have this capsule that's maybe blue. Mine is just a normal champion shard, but just whatever you have, open it, and it's gonna open a champion and maybe some blue essence sometimes. But you go here, you can either upgrade, and if you got lucky and let's say you got the champion you want, you could upgrade for a reduced price. Since this champion costs 4,800, it's at a half price. Or you could descend it, so that way you have more blue essence to spend with. Blue Essence is in-game currency, and this is free currency you get for leveling up and just playing the game over time. RP is actual money you spend on the game, and you could just insta-buy something you want if you have the cash, but this game is 100% free to play. You don't have to spend money on anything, and it's kind of the similar model as for Fortnite, right now CSGO, basically any game, it's free to play, but you can buy in-game things to just make whatever you play look cool, but you don't need to spend money on anything. All right, so press this. This is the store. You kind of, if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. This right here is the store. Press on champion, and these are the champions I don't have unlocked. I'm gonna unlock one just right now. When you buy a champion, you could play them every single game, and I highly recommend, if you're a beginner, to get the champions that cost 450 blue essence. Because I own them, I can't really show you what costs 450 blue essence, but you're gonna see it. Every champion but Singed and Rise are really good champions to pick because they cost barely any blue essence. You could play maybe 2 games and have enough blue essence to purchase them, and they're very easy to play. Now let's say common mid laner. Click on the champion and it's going to open up their preview. Their difficulty, which is barely any, and their damage type, so you know if you have to build ability power or if you have to build some attack damage. And you could even preview their abilities right here. Read up on basically what they are. And to put it in simple terms, the 450 blue essence champions were released maybe 8 years ago, and you're only going to see like only a sentence or two of what the abilities actually do. They're very simple to follow, and your passive usually synergizes really well with your abilities. Like every 4 spells Annie uses, the 4th one will stun. So that's just the way things are. And your ultimate ability, of course, being your most important ability, whether that's damage or utility. But yeah, I highly recommend. There are over 130 champions to pick. Choose one, stick to them, whichever class you like, assassin, ADC, support. Stick to that one champion, and you'll understand the game over time by seeing other people play other champions against you, and you're gonna have more knowledge on exactly what to do. And learning 10 champs at the same time, it's just it's not the move. Please, if you're a beginner, stick to 1 or 2 champions in 1 or 2 lanes. Preferably, if you could stick to 1 champion in 1 lane, that would be great, but you could explore all the champion classes to figure out what you like. But just trying to stick to 1 champion that's basic to play, like Ashe, the 450 champions I've been talking about, blue essence, they're just it's the best way to learn the game. And just check the difficulty to make sure they're at least 1. Most of the time will be 1. That's the best for you, and sometimes they might be 2, which is a little bit more difficult. All right, so now talking about bot games, what you played during the tutorial, and if you got lost somehow, press training, go to tutorial, press confirm. This will open up the tutorial right here, and then you'll get your champion at the end, and maybe even during the middle. You want from levels 1 to 10, it doesn't matter who, almost every single player that's new to the game should play intermediate bots or beginner bots. This community right here, most of the time, we're talking 95% of the time, since the game is so toxic, will not flame you for doing bad, and if you ask for help in chat, you may get a response back. But I honestly recommend playing intro to bots, beginner bots, and intermediate bots when maybe you're level 20 and want a little bit more pressure in lane. But just please play a couple game of bots before you play draft, because there's a semi-high possibility that you may play against the Smurf and you may not like the game. Because I'm telling you the truth, most people, when they get permanently banned on this game, they'll just make a new account, and then when you're playing blind or draft pick, you may be playing against silver to platinum elo most of the time, and since you're a beginner, they'll make the experience not so fun for you. So I recommend playing bots. You have to play maybe 5 or 10 actual games before you start getting matched with the same MMR you are. MMR stands for like skill level of where the players are in your game. And if you lose 8 times in a row, every time you lose, it'll place you with easier players. So that way you're actually playing against new players. All right, so now that we're on the client, let's talk about the type of games you can play and maybe what you want to think about. There's blind pick, draft pick, and then there's ranked. You really can't play because you have to hit level 30 on your account. And even then, if you're not so much of a competitive player but just want to play this game for fun, then I honestly just respect people who play normal games. And there are also other game modes like the ARAM, ERF, or Teamfight Tactics, what we talked about during the beginning of the tutorial. This is like the side mini game some League of Legends players get into, and it's more like a game of chess. If you like RuneScape, I'm pretty sure you'll like this game. It's more card based with characters on the chessboard or just board in general, and you can experiment with that later. But the main thing you want to focus on is when you want to play with players, what do you want to play? Blind pick or draft pick? Most people opt for the blind. And basically what the blind is you queue up, the queue pops, press accept, and it's everyone calling the role in chat, and whatever role they get, whichever person calls the role first, they get the role. So I'll just show you right here. Basically, there's no organization here. You get into game, everyone calls the role. Let's say I want mid lane. You have 82 seconds to choose. Everyone calls the role, support ADC. Get the whatever summoner spells you use, all that good stuff. Choose your runes, which you will get into later. And this is where you set up your pregame. Your pregame stats, like the keystone rune choices you want to take, and I will be recommending some helpful sources later on in this video that I am not sponsoring, but they will definitely help out any new player out there in making these tough decisions, because you don't know what everything does, and I honestly do get that. Now, to get into what the draft pick is, which will be the standard queue if you decide to play ranked at level 30, it's the queue where you're going to queue in. You're going to choose which roles you want at the start, which is, let's say primary, we want the mid lane, and secondary, we're okay with getting jungle. I want to say 75% of the time you'll get your primary role, and then 25% of the time you'll get your secondary. But unless you get autofilled, it's basically a guarantee that you'll get these roles. Alright, so to talk about summoner spells and basically every single one there is in the game. When you are level 1, these are the only 2 summoner spells you're going to be able to choose from, which is located on your D and F key when you're in the game playing. You have heal, which is basically you click F or D and it just heals you for some heal points. It heals you and your closest ally. And then there's ghost, which basically means you'll gain movement speed for 10 seconds, and that basically is it. You'll just gain movement speed. When you're level 4, you'll unlock barrier, which you can negate some of the enemy's damage. It's a stronger shield than heal, but it's for only a period of 2 seconds. So if you're playing against bursty type players where they just burst you in 2 seconds, this summoner spell may help you actually survive their burst. Exhaust is one of the advanced summoner spells, I want to say. You click it onto the enemy target, and what it does is it reduces their movement speed and damage dealt by 40% for 3 seconds. Again, this is good against anyone who bursts you, and this right here is mainly taken by supports because they want to stop the enemy from doing damage to their most important teammate, which is their marksman, the person they're supporting. Barrier is taken by mid laners and ADCs if they're mages or anyone who's squishy. Ghost is also taken by mages and ADCs into situations where in bot lane you're playing with 2 players alongside each other, so that way heal can actually heal 2 people. Or in the mid lane, if your enemy's not taking ignite, you'll mostly opt for the heal. Ghost is taken by special champions which need movement speed to actually function, like the Singed or the Hecarim. There are certain champions that use Ghost, and honestly, you have to Google up guides for your champion, because again, there are so many champions. I can't say for every single champion who uses Ghost, but after I'm done talking about runes, I will talk about which websites will help you most and give you the easiest time when it comes to builds and stuff. The flash summoner spell you unlock at level 7, you basically take on all champions, literally 98% on your D or F key, because what it does is it's a simple dash you can use both offensively to flash through a wall, or flash aggressively to get a kill, or flash away to not die. It's the most versatile thing you could take, and both skilled and noob players use this, because this is the summoner spell that gives you outplay potential. It gives you everything you need, and it's on a 300-second cooldown. Summoner spells all have long cooldowns. 300-second cooldown, 300-second cooldown, everything. Teleport has 300-second cooldown. Ignite is more like a 210-second cooldown, but teleport is best to take for top laners, and what it does is you can teleport to a structure like towers or minions by just clicking on them with the summoner spell D. You'll teleport to them, and this is on a 300-second cooldown. It's so that way you can get to lane quicker and you don't have to walk back, but it's on a long cooldown again, so you can't use it over and over. Cleanse, for new players, I recommend you don't touch this. This is for when you get CC'd, you can cleanse abilities so that way you're no longer CC. I highly recommend you stay away from this until you at least hit platinum elo, which is called mid or high elo, just do not touch this. This is very hard to use. Ignite's pretty simple. You click it, it's a point and click. You click it on your target, they burn for true damage, and it deals extra damage, which usually is used for an execute. You're gonna use this in close fights where you're both on a sliver of HP, but the ignite is going to actually help you get the kill in the close situations. And this is on a 210-second cooldown. You usually take this in the mid lane role or support role for the aggression. Smite is for all junglers. You take this if you're a jungler and you unlock it at level 9. And what it does is it basically does true damage to the monsters, and it also heals you. So you need this if you're jungling, and I highly recommend looking up another video if you want to jungle. I will be going over jungle, but this video is lane specific, and I'll be talking more about what to do in lane, how the lane goes, how the game goes, and I'll be dedicating only one section to talking about the jungle. But yes, Smite is an essential if you want to be a jungler. Alright, so to talk about runes, you click collection and then you click runes. These are the rune pages. These are presets. If it has this, you literally cannot change the rune page, but you'll have 2 to choose from, or you could create a new one. Basically, precision is for people who auto attack a lot and deal damage, want to deal more damage by either, improved auto attacks, or they want to sustain damage with like Conqueror. It's really hard to explain, by the way. So domination is for hunting or eliminating prey, which is either you want to deal extra burst damage or you want better target access with like the Predator. These are more for assassins. These are more for the ADCs or bruisers. And sorcery is more for the mages, where it empowers your abilities, and resource manipulation gives you phase rush, which is mobility, or some extra poke with the airy or comet. Resolve is for tanks. It gives you durability and crowd control right here. For tanks, maybe sometimes bruisers, but yeah, you see the aftershock. And grasp, I don't want to explain every single one of them because I know you're a beginner, and I'm literally going to recommend websites. Trust me, not a sponsor again. I know how hard it is. I literally, when I first started playing this game, I had absolutely no clue what to build. I had no clue what to do. And my friend, of course, was just laughing at me because I was so bad. And I quit the game. I quit the game because he just made me so tilted. I hope no one goes through that experience. But eventually, I got back into the game and I love it. Been playing it for 5 years plus. And yeah, have grinded to high ranks in the ranking system and just enjoyed casual play, just playing for fun too. And then last but not least, this is inspiration. This is just creative tools with rule bending. So let's say we're trying to set up an assassin's page. What would make sense? I mean, I'm just doing one example. What would make sense? Let's say this is for Fizz or Zed, an assassin, someone who dashes, wants to leap and burst people. Assassin's mid lane, basically. You would want to pick Electrocute because your third separate auto attacker ability does extra damage. Take sudden impact because when you dash, you'll deal extra magical penetration or lethality. Eyeball collection because it gives you extra bonus damage per every unique kill you get. Quickly, Ravenous Hunter because you want to heal. Precision. Triumph for some extra healing after you get a kill. And then Cope de Grace because it gives you bonus damage when enemies are low. Adaptive Force is basically extra damage. Take 2 of those. And Armor. What I just said probably sounds so confusing to you, which again, do not read through all of these. There's only one rune page, maybe 2 rune pages that work with your champion. Research them below, which one has the highest win rate, which one's performing best. Copy paste it, and I guarantee you, you will have a good time. Now to talk about websites, these are not sponsors at all. There are 3 websites I want to mention, which is at the top, I want to put u.gg. Then second, probably champion.gg, and then last is op.gg. What these websites are, I'm going to specifically talk about u.gg and basically show the function of it. You just type your champion at the taskbar on the top, click on the champion's icon, and then you're going to see the loadout of what runes to take, the summoner spells that have the highest pick and win rate. You're going to see which build order to go into, and on top of that, you're going to see skill max order, and you can choose which rank you want your builds from. So if you want, let's say the top, 1% diamond, you could look at the diamond players builds. You could look at the top 0.01% master tier players and see what they're building. And honestly, you could just sort a lot of things, and it basically gives you all the information, a basic guide of what you want on your champion, so that way you're not confused on like all the choices you may have as a newer player. Champion.gg's in second place. It kind of does the same thing basically, and it's just honestly u.gg's just a better format for me. That's personally what I prefer. All these websites are viable, but it's just easy to choose from u.gg. Alright, so to quickly run over the map, Summoner's Rift, how everything works. There's going to be 5 towers and then 1 inhibitor to actually get to the brain of the game, which is called the Nexus. And once the Nexus is destroyed, no matter how many kills, no matter how many deaths, the Nexus is what matters. Once that is destroyed, the game is over. And this is very impractical, but this is what I want to say, how this is basically how games are going to end, or like the flow of things after you take tower after tower and end the game. Also, side note, once you take the inhibitor, these 2 towers are really hard to take, and what the inhibitor is meant to do is spawn minions to help you take these towers, these 2 towers in front of their nexus. And this game is built off of snowballs, by the way. So if you're likely to get an early game lead, it is very easy to snowball that into victory. So games aren't really coin flips, but they're based off of skill in who can get ahead early and then start closing out games, if that makes sense. But the lower the rank, the more likely they are to throw their lead, so anyone has a chance of winning. That right there is the super minion I'm talking about, and it helps you once you destroy the inhibitor. Right there are 3 of them. So if you destroy any one of them in any single lane, they'll spawn these super minions, and these super minions will help you tank the tower to actually, you know, finish and close out the game. Alright, so I really do want to talk about settings because these are extremely important to talk about. I'm going to restart all the way to default. Yes, we're going to reset all of these settings to default so that way you get a feel of what should exactly happen. Sorry if the audio is loud. First off, let's start by going to the sounds tab and then lowering my volume here. Let's make it 7. But hotkeys are... Hotkeys are your keys you are going to use to actually play the game. There's Q, W, E, R, and then D and F for your summoner spells. The spells I talked about before, and then your numbers will activate these actives. Like if you press 4, the 4 will work right there. I want you to... So if you want SmartCast, make sure all of these under the letters are actually enabled and shining bright. So that way, you're going to have a sensor, but when you let go, it's going to place it. So look. It works with all skill shots and basically everything. And that right there is how you have SmartCast, where you're going to have a sensor, you're going to have an aimer, and it's going to help you land your skill shots and so on, especially if you're playing a mage. And if you want like quick cast, just quick cast overall, make sure that's unticked and then you won't get the sensor. You could just click and then it's going to work. But yes, we are in the practice tool, a very good tool to actually learn champions and get the feel of the game. The buttons you click, like I said, 3 fingers, Q, W, E will help you work your abilities. Alternate your pointer finger from your E to your R for your ultimate. From your pointer finger to your D to use your summoner spell. From your pointer finger or any finger in general to click your 1, 2, 3, or 4. And from your ring finger, your Q, it's on your Q, to click the tab. Tab right here opens the scoreboard to see how many dragons are taken when the objective is spawning. That's going to be right here. And if you press enter, you could type in chat like so. You could type in chat if you press enter. And if you want to talk in all chat, which means the enemy can see it, /all, and then you could type. See? We could type that, and as you can see, everyone else can see it. Now, I should have went over this quicker, but the quality right here, you could have your frame rate capped to make it more stable and stuff, but I have my quality on very high, which is why I guess it looks so good. But let's say you're running a lower NPC, drop that bad boy all the way down to very low. The game, I don't know, I guess it'll look more like a mobile game in a way, but it'll raise your frame rate for sure. And if you're running a low-end laptop or just PC in general, just tweak with the settings and you should find a good balance. So that way you're actually rocking good frames per second you could play with. And people always ask, this is the default by the way, how my screen always looks so bright and colorful. This is the default, 50-50-50. Make the contrast 55, make the color level 100. That just like brightens up your screen and it doesn't like tweak with the colors at all. It just makes it more vibrant and people really like the way my setup looks or the way, yeah, my stuff is. For interface, we resetted this to default, of course. First, let's go to game where you can adjust your mouse sensitivity. I say only worry about this for now. Most people keep this on 0, this on 50, and yeah, they just keep it like this. Preset for your camera lock, per side offset. That's pretty standard. Press Y to unlock, or you can click this button. Just press Y to unlock your camera if you play on no camera lock. If you want to play, yeah, like Dota, no camera lock, and then hold the spacebar to actually get the sensor on the champion you are playing yourself. Honestly, I personally play on lock screen, and I hover over the map really quick, click with my left click to quickly view whatever I need to view on the map, and then it just locks back. I am high diamond. I got there playing lock screen. Some people criticize me for this, even though I am outranking them ×3, but it is what it is. I am, in many people's eyes, not a noob. So honestly, I'd say lock screen is probably easier for most beginner players, so just you don't have to tweak with this, but experiment quickly looking at your map, left clicking to see what you need to look at. Have auto attack on, and as for interface, this is very important. Your hub scale is this. Make this at around like 8. Make this at around 8. I personally put mine at 0 because it's kind of unnecessary, but you could at max maybe put it at 22, because what it does is it just covers up your screen. You don't want it to cover up your screen when there's like an important thing you want to see. Maybe like a gank is coming in this corner. You want to see that. Your sensor size, it doesn't really matter. It's the cursor right here. You can make it 0. You can make it 100. It is your preference technically, but I just leave it at around a 50. So as for chat, this game is so toxic. Honestly, I put that at 0, and I honestly just slash mute all. Type that in chat, it'll mute everyone. But you can experiment with it. It really shouldn't be at 100. It should at max maybe be like 30 if your your eyesight isn't like the best. But personally for me, I put it at around 10. You don't want to be focusing on chat more than you want to be focusing on the game, especially when most people use chat just to flame, rage, or troll. Like, muting all, I guarantee you, especially if you're a newer player, I highly recommend just either manually clicking on people to mute them or just typing in chat, press the enter bar, /mute space all. It will mute everyone and you won't have to deal with their toxicity. Minimap scale, always leave at 100. And yeah, that is it for settings. There's not really much else to touch here. Yeah, right here. If you want to disable chat interface right here, scroll down to chat, just click this to make sure it's not showing there, and then right there, and then to show timestamps in chat. So that way when you type something, it'll show a timestamp. You want to enable timestamp. So that way when people ping things too, like press G. If you press G and click left click, it'll leave the blue mark. If you press G, aim your mouse up, it'll make a danger, on my way, assist me, enemy is missing. That's why you don't need chat. You could just tell your team what you want to do with these pings. I'm on my way. Care, there's someone around. Please assist me in lane. Enemy is missing. So forth. Use your ping. Use your G to notify your team what exactly is going through your head. And you could press tab. Or you could press, you could press tab. And you could left click on an item to show that you've bought an item. Now you reached your power spike. There's just so many things you can do with pings. You do not need chat. And I know this game is toxic, which is why some people don't even want to play the game. They're afraid of getting flamed. Just mute all and then you'll have 10 times the better time. Unless you're playing with friends. In that case, you could just use voice comp. But now to talk about items and how you want to exactly approach things. Your first item in Season 11 in 2021 is always a mythic item. If you go to your recommended, they will recommend you items to get, which are mythic. And let's say this game, we want Gore Drinker. They tell you which it is used for. If you want to survive burst, you'll get the Gore Drinker. If you want to duel, you will get the Triforce. If you want anti-tank and to shred tanks, you'll get the Divine Sunder. So most of the time when you recall, you won't have enough gold to actually buy your straight up item, which is why you have to buy parts. So press P to shop at your base when you recall. And if you want to recall, press B again. Now, to buy parts, basically what it is you're buying parts to bigger parts to your main item, your mythic item, which you will always rush. And the recommended does a great job at telling you basically what to buy. So let's say we want longsword, get the longsword. Pickaxe. Next time you recall, now you have enough gold for the Tiamat. Get the Tiamat. Now get the Phage. Now get the Kindle Gem. And get Gore Drinker. Along the way of building your first item, you always want to buy boots because movement speed is so important in League of Legends. It just helps you get back to lane. It helps you not get kited. It helps you get to the squishy targets and so on. Don't forget to buy boots. And they, of course, recommend it too. Like, should I get the Merc Treads? Get the Merc Treads there. They'll recommend you the second item to buy. Let's say we want Black Cleaver. Buy parts into the big item. And it doesn't take, it just takes away the price for the main item. So if you buy Phage, it subtracts 875 for the Sterix Gauge. And you see, as, yeah, you can see, you buy parts and then you'll buy the bigger part of the item. And then until you're full build. Again, I've been over this, but your abilities are Q, W, ER. You could read up on what they do or just experiment with them in game. They, of course, every time you use one of them, they'll have a cooldown, like the 4 seconds there. Your W, 8-second cooldown there. And your E, you spin, and there will be a 5-second cooldown there. Your ultimate's your most important ability. You'll use that. It'll have a 42-second cooldown there once you use it. And ability haste is basically cooldown reduction. And what it does is it reduces your abilities cost. So right now I have 47%. But if I had none, of course, it would be way higher, like the 60-second ultimate cooldown there. All right, so to now talk about objectives and the 2 objectives to worry about in the early game. Early game is classified as before Baron and Elder Dragon become the main source of objective focus. All right, so now that we're talking about Rift Herald will spawn at the 8-minute mark. This is the objective top laners, mid laners, and junglers will fight over. In high elo, like top levels of play, this will be fought over more than drag. But in low elo, where 90%, okay, I would say 99% of viewers watching this video will be, you will want to focus the dragon. Rift Herald is basically a buff where you take it, it's going to be on your 4 key, you activate it, and when it spawns, it will crash into the tower, dealing great amount of damage to it, and most likely take it. It'll deal 2 fits worth of damage to the tower, as you will see right here. And this is really good at securing the early game towers. Towers give gold, minions give gold, kills give gold. Kills aren't the only gold to get. There are towers to focus on, like as you can see here. Just gives me gold. So yeah, there's that. Now back to Dragon. I'll be showing you the structure of the game right after I show you the objectives and what happens when you take all of them. But right now, as you can see, this is going to be our second dragon. That one right there is a cloud. It gives you ability haste, which is cooldown reduction for your team. Every time you take a drag, it gives a buff to your whole entire team. So it's going to be Cloud Soul. And this is really later on, by the way, when you get the Dragon Soul. This is like late game, 20 minutes in. So you're going to take your third drag, stag drag. This usually happens when you're ahead in the game. You're going to take the third drag. Now you have 20 ability haste they add on top of each other. And the last dragon will be another cloud, which means that you are going to get Cloud Soul, which ultimately means you're going to have a lot of cooldown reduction. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. It just buffs up whatever your previous drags were. Now we have 30 ability haste on top of that. Oh, Cloud Drake is, it gives you extra amount of movement speed. But the Ocean, basically, it'll give you more restoration. The Mountain will give you more defenses for your team and an extra shield. The Infernal will give you an extra Infernal pop whenever you use an ability on anything on a cooldown. And to quickly summarize it, Infernal Dragon gives you more damage for your team. Cloud Dragon gives you more cooldown reduction and movement speed when you get the Dragon Soul. Ocean restores HP and mana once you get the soul every 5 seconds or so. Mountain will give your team more defense stats and a shield once you get the dragon soul after 4 dragons. And as you can see, after you get the dragon soul, the elder dragon will spawn. But now let's talk about Baron. We're going to solo this. This spawns 20 minutes into the game, and once this starts to be the prioritization and focus for the games, that's when you want to consider this phrase that you're in the late game. Late game means that every death is crucial because every death timer is like 30 seconds, and that could equal a quick objective. But once you take Baron, you can basically close out the game. Very powerful buff. You want your team to be around. You want at least 3 members, 3 to 5 members to take it. Usually it's going to be around 5. Yeah, it's going to be your whole team because the buff it gives is absolutely crazy. And just in general, once you get this, you can close out games so quickly. It's going to give you gold, an empowered recall, but most importantly, when you use the buff on the minions around, they're going to power them up. And look how strong my wave of minions are compared to theirs. Baron is such a strong buff in giving your minions more defense and just more damage in general. So you can really, after your team takes this, this is the late game objective you want to prioritize. It takes towers, it solos towers, and it's very hard for the enemy to clear. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Elder Dragon. It is definitely quicker to take than the good old Baron, and the buff it gives is pretty insane. It spawns after you take the Ocean Soul, and what it does is when the enemy gets low, at like 1/8 HP, you insta execute them, which basically guarantees that you will win no matter what the fight is. You will basically win. And every time you auto attack or use an ability, you're gonna see a burn, and that's for every ability you use. It stacks, so that is just extra damage on top of extra damage and an execute. Dragon, Elder Dragon, and Baron are insane buffs to get, and if you get both, I guarantee you basically won the game. So that is it for objectives. Now we're going to talk about the basic function or flow of games. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the structures of games, and in particular how they go. So you're going to have one person top lane, the bruiser or tank. They're going to be in the solo lane most of the time. If this is your role, I'm kind of explaining what basically happens for like 3/4 of the game. This is a gold MMR game, which means that it's within kind of the realms you'll be playing in once you hit level 30, kind of, where the top laner will stay top most of the game. It's usually a side lane 1v1. The mid laners are assassins or mages, and there's going to be 2 people bottom lane, like a support and ADC. Support ADC, support ADC. There's going to be jungle, and at the start of the game, you have to leash your jungler 1 buff, so that way they'll hit level 2 and have more of a healthier clear, like so. And honestly, for the first 7 to 10 minutes, most of the time, most lanes are just going to be farming it out, maybe dueling. As you can see here, they're fighting each other back and forth. The Zed and Fizz also fighting back and forth. The Darius and Renekton top lane also fighting back and forth. And the junglers are farming camps and maybe possibly might look for a gank to help one of their laners when they're overextended. And this, I want to say, is where the most League of Legends fun lies, especially if you're a laner, which is outplaying your opponent, showing who's better, winning your laning phase, and really showing off your skills. Now, as for the junglers, they sometimes might have a 1v1. This is like a gank, by the way. Kind of an awkward gank. They might have 1v1s, but most of the time they might be 2v2 scrimmages with your teammates. If you look at your minimap right here where I'm pointing, it's bottom right of my screen. You're going to be able to see your champions on the map and wherever you have warded. So yeah, that basically summarizes the early game, which is junglers trying to gank laners to help, and laners just trying to go for solo kills. That's a jungler gank right there. Junglers go from trying to clear their camps to trying to help their laners. And all lanes are important because it's a 5v5. One lane can solely impact the game, and one lane can solely lose you the game. So you have to be very wary some of that. In the early game, there are 2 objectives to worry about, which is getting Dragon. I'll be explaining this later on. Getting Dragon and then getting the Rift Herald when that spawns for the early game, before 20 minutes. These stack, and basically every time you take, they'll give you stats like armor, magic resist, cooldown reduction, They give you good team stats, and the Rift Herald will be a tower shredder. It'll take 2 of these platings. It'll damage towers. That way you can make it quicker to the Nexus. And I'll be covering all of this even more in depth later. But for now, I'm just generalizing things. All right, so the mid game is where the tier 1 towers, your first towers in front of like the whole entire map, it's kind of in the middle-ish map, they fall. And this is where teams group up with their levels and items and try to fight each other. This is going to be the 2v2s, the 3v3s, and even 5v5s. Use whatever champion you're using to try to team fight with your team to hopefully put it in your favor. And, well, it's kind of hard to explain exactly what to do in these team fights on every specific champion. But just note that from like the 15-minute beyond mark, you want to be grouping with your team like you see here and actually trying to team fight. You could also split push, but that's for, you know, another video. And I know it's a lot to explain, but it's oh my god. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry if I'm making this sound like a physics class, but like, this is just generally speaking what you do. Mid game, you're just team fighting with your team. And early game is more of the 1v1 situations. See, this is what more likely it would look like. 3 people mid, 3 people mid. Most teams group it mid to fight, and this is the Rift Herald I was talking about, by the way, where you place it, it's gonna spawn right here. It's everywhere, but it spawns twice before the 20-minute mark, and then Baron spawns. But the Rift Herald, what it does is it does tremendous amount of damage to towers and helps you take it so quickly. And then now the late game is where Baron becomes top priority, because Baron is a buff that gives minions a lot of HP and tankiness, and on top of that, it gives you some gold. But it's kind of the same thing as the mid game, except the objectives that you try to prioritize changes. Instead of it being the Rift Herald or normal drag, it's the Baron and Elder Dragon. And picks, late game means that every time you die, it's like 30 seconds you have to wait, which is huge. You could end the game off of 1 fight. So like so, the team, they die, and then kind of a vague idea of how to play this game out, I want to say. After they get the kill, they just end the game, and then they destroy the Nexus. See, look how it took them having to take all top tiers, all mid tiers, and all bot tiers before they can end the game. It's not a straight line where you just turret after turret after turret, inhib. No, it's you're playing like a whole chess game, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of pieces to move, a lot of objectives to focus on, and it's complex, but it's really fun once you start to get the hang of things. Most players that play League, that have played other games in the past, they usually just push aside the other game and just play League, because it is so good once you start to understand things. And trust me when I say, though, the first time you do well, the more and more you want to play this game. All right, to explain exactly why certain type of champions go into certain type of lanes, first off, let's talk about the top lane. Top lane, tanks and bruisers will mainly be here. The reason why is because this right here, top lane, is a solo lane, and the only objective to try to fight for is this Rift Herald. Rift Herald is an objective where once you take it, you can place it, press the 4 key, and it just deals a good chunk amount of damage to towers. And this is the only objective they're really fighting for. But most of the time, the win condition is around Dragon. Because once you get the Dragon Soul, that's going to basically give you huge power-ups for your team that will quite literally solo win you the game once you get it. But it's because of objective's sake why top lane, only tanks and bruisers play here. And it's a solo lane because there's not much to fight for besides this Rift Herald, which I will show as an example when I place it. They could fight over it at like the 8-minute mark, and again, most of the time they're just going to be top lane for like, they're going to be top lane most of the time when we're talking about the game, and nowhere else but top lane, unless they want to group mid game. But let's just say 3/4 of the time they're just going to be top AFK farming, trying to farm up for the mid game team fights, and you're not going to see anyone else but that. Now for this mid lane, mainly assassins and mages will be playing in the mid lane. The reason why assassins and mages are played in the mid lane is because they will be closest to every fight that happens. Let's say a dragon fight happens where both teams are fighting over pretty much the most important objective early game, in low elo especially, where most people are in the game. They're going to be fighting for dragon. The assassins have the most power early to mid game, and they will be able to influence these fights. Mages' goals are also to be in these team fights because they're mages. Mages do a lot of damage when a lot of people are around. They can either poke them from super far distances or burst them, but you're playing the mages and assassins to really get into a lot of these fights early game and just try to solo carry like that. In the jungle, certain type of champions do really well at clearing camps, and you, I guess, have to research what role your specific champion goes into, because I can't explain it again in one video because there are over 100 champions. So research which champions go in the jungle. For 450 blue essence, Nunu, Master Yi, and Amumu, very common beginner champions, will go in the jungle. And basically, they always need to take smite. What their goal is to clear camps early game, like as you can see here, right? Clear camps, which will level them up. They're really good clearers. They clear these camps, which attack you back, but they don't have any skill mechanic. They're not going to kill you in your jungle most of the time. And then gank lanes, like support lanes. After they clear jungle camps, they're going to go into lanes to hopefully aid their laners out and then get kills like that. So that way, after they get the kills on the laner, then they could start taking towers or look for objectives like the dragon or rift. Now, bottom lane, there are going to be two people most of the time. There are going to be the ADC, which is what I'm playing right now, the damager, the attack damage carry. That's what ADC stands for. These are the people that don't build any defense, but they just always build offense and try to deal the most damage in the game. And next to them will be a support, the person that either engages and sets things up for them or heals and shields them to make sure they don't die from assassins that will have a lot of burst damage to hopefully one-shot burst them. So it's a two-man role usually, ADC and support, always. And they always go bot side. The reason why they don't go top is because of objectives. Dragon spawns closest to bot lane, as you could see here. And then the Rift Herald, it's not as important, especially in lower elos, so it spawns top side. You could either play the healer or shielder again, or the aggressive tanky support like the Alistar, Leona. But the heal and shield ones are always easier, and if you want to just be useful to your team no matter what, I highly recommend trying to get into Soraka or Janna, preferably Soraka and maybe Sona. Soraka's number one, because her kit's so easy. You press one button and you heal your allies. Like, you're always going to be useful, and it's just really easy to just win games cruising backline and just not doing much, especially if you're new. And most of the time, you just have to worry about positioning, like standing behind these minions to make sure the enemy doesn't hook you or engage on you. Alright, so now to talk about the laning phase guide and how you want to play the laning phase. This is if you're playing mid, top, or bottom lane. Now, I'm just talking about a solo lane since it's just the easiest to explain. Minions give gold if you kill them. You have to deal the last blow or else you get no gold. I'll show you. Watch right there. It dies, you get no gold. You only get gold if you're good at farming the creeps, which means last hitting. And this comes with time, of course. And it is one of the mechanics that you could either do really well or really poorly. The rank system will... So let's say if you're really bad at this, if you're really bad at everything, the rank system will put you against players that are really bad at everything too. So it's kind of a even... It's going to be balanced, basically. You're going to be playing with people within your skill level. But notice how I'm standing behind my minions, because if I stand in front, the minions will start to attack me. Don't just stand in front of the minions and just tank a lot of damage. You want to stand behind the minions, or else you'll just start to take crazy amounts of damage and then eventually execute. Now, how you want to pressure the other laner or opponent is when you have a good, decent wave, no or close to no minions are attacking you, because they do damage over time, a lot of damage. And you just have the upper advantage on them. You could short trade, long trade, or just go for the kill, depending the situation of your lane. And this is where I want to say the fun lies in League of Legends for most laners, which is outplaying your opponent, showing who's best, and really showing your mechanical level. And by the way, if you are the first person to be under the tower will focus you. And the minions, if they're under tower first, the turret will focus them first. And the only reason why the tower would focus you when the minions are under tower is if you attack the enemy. If you don't attack the enemy, you will always be safe, and it shows a green zone right now, but when you're playing in competitive rank, it will show no green zone. So just be very worrisome of that. All right, so now to talk about the basic jungle guide. So when you spawn, you want either this or this. This right here is what we call red smite, and this right here is what we call chilling smite. Chilling smite basically slows people down when you use it, but how you upgrade it is you have to smite 5 times, and then you'll consume the item, and then you'll get chilling smite, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't right now, but I'm gonna show you right here exactly what goes on. We smite once. Just a quick clear route and exactly how it should look. You're gonna clear the Krugs. Smite 3 times. And we're gonna clear Raptors. At this point, you should technically be level 3. This is like a general clear path to go. So basically, to explain how clear paths work, you want to hit level 3 off 3 camps. So if you want level 3, you can either get this, get the big red or blue camp, and then after that, you want to head to your outer camp because that gives you the most XP. Blue buff, if you're on the other side, get blue buff and then go to your Gromp. That gives the most XP. And then you want to take your inner camp right after you clear those two because that will finish off the XP you need to actually level up. Okay, we smite again. Look what happens. We consume the item, and now we have chilling smite. Basically, it acts as a slow, and when you smite it, it just slows. It slows targets, and I'll show you on that misfortune in a second. That's how clearing basically works in League of Legends, and in the early game, you want to prioritize getting Scuttle Crab because they do give you a good amount of XP, but they sustain you back when it comes to your mana and HP, so getting the Scuttle Crab is really good, especially if you can get both. But this is what junglers generally fight for in the early game, next to actually clearing objectives. So we're gonna skip 30 seconds. And the some junglers can solo jungle objectives, like this Ocean Soul right here. We're gonna focus it. We're gonna get it. And we just gave the buff to our team. You see there? So as for ganking, you want to come around, make sure you have a good opening onto the enemy. See, chilling smite. Now she's slowed. She's slowed, as you can see, with the chilling smite. We just clicked on her. And as you can see, we get the kill. That's how you want to help your team. You want to come from the corner, help them with a gank, which they will collapse on. And then afterwards, you could take tower platings. This tower platings right here. You could do many things, but your goal as a jungler is to clear really well, to clear your camps so that way you stay on top with levels. Take objectives with your team if you can, and help your team with what we call ganks, which is where you go into someone's lane to try to kill their laner and then gain a lead from that. All right, so to talk about trolling, because trolling is definitely a big problem in League of Legends and just toxicity in general, I highly recommend, if you don't want trolls, or verbal abuse, I should say, flaming, you don't want to feel emotionally destroyed, especially as a new player, because I honestly understand where you're coming from. You could press escape, open the options tab, go to interface, scroll down to chat, and then just make sure this isn't on. This is on, that means chat's on. If you disable it, chat's off. Disable this for both, so that way you can never hear what your teammates talk about. And the number one thing people say is, oh no, then I won't be able to talk to them about, like, am I coming to your lane? Should we group? Stuff like that. There are pings for that. Press G. You could click to ping, just normal blue. You could click G, left click, and then drag up to ping danger. An enemy is missing, on my way, and assist me. Those are all the pings you need in League of Legends to climb to challenger rank, which is top of the top. You do not need chat. You just do not need it. It is mainly used to flame, rage, and just honestly get you tilted. Tilted means like in-game, stressed out, mad. So I hope that deals with like the verbal issues. And as for people trolling and ruining games, you could just report them at the post-game screen by clicking the exclamation mark you will see and then reporting them. So guys, I really hope this video helped. I know this game can be such a stress and pain to get into, but trust me when I say once you get Once you learn the basics, the game becomes super fun and you just want to play more and more of it. Whether you're a casual player or competitive, it is a highly addictive, in a good way, game where you just want to keep playing more and more because it's just so much fun and it just brings so much enjoyment to everyone's day, especially if you have friends to play with. So like usual, please smash the like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm and the amount of time I put into this video. Comment any question you may have because I will most definitely answer it. Even at 10K, I could still reply to most comments. So yeah, subscribe if you want to see more tutorial based videos or just helpful videos in general, and feel free to join the Discord where you could join the community where most people will help you out. I wish you the best of luck on the Rift and I will see you next video. I'm out.